It was another blowout quarter for Apple. Earnings beat estimates, and the company says sales this quarter are going to be higher than expected. With us by phone this morning from Nashville is Morgan Keegan Managing Director Tavis McCourt. Bloomberg data show Tavis is one of the most accurate forecasters on Apple. Tavis, good morning to you. It's early down in Nashville. Glad you could join us. Let's talk about the fears heading into this quarter. There were a lot of concerns that something would go wrong with Apple's earnings report. It didn't, but did they allay all of your concerns?
Yeah, I mean, I think generally the fears were that you've got a new product launch in the iPad. No one's really quite sure what the margin profile of that is. And obviously you had an iPhone 4 launch, which overall went well, but obviously wasn't perfect. And I think what the June quarter showed is that the margin profile of the iPad is not nearly as poor as Apple may have suggested 3 months ago. And even though the iPhone number wasn't better than expected, it was good enough.
What was the biggest surprise from the iPad? The fact that margins held up better than many analysts expected going into that earnings report, or just the sheer volume of sales and the impact on revenue it's already having?
Well, yeah, if you're talking about relative to 2 months ago, the sheer volume of sales is just shocking. I mean, they almost sold as many iPads as they did Macs this quarter, and next quarter they almost surely will. But they had already kind of given us that number in terms of number of sales in a few different press releases, so it wasn't surprising on the call. But it is really remarkable how fast the growth driver at this company is shifting over to the iPad. In the September quarter, we estimate over 60% of their year-over-year growth will actually be coming from the iPad. And so the iPhone and Mac are still going to be growing, but just like 2 or 3 years ago when it shifted from a Mac to really more of an iPhone story, for over the next year or two, this is really much more of an iPad story in terms of driving its growth than iPhone and Mac even.
Tavis, one of my colleagues here, Sheila Damarajan, mentioned earlier that one of the surprises in the quarter is that Mac sales held up as well as they did, that the iPad is not cannibalizing some of the Mac laptop sales, for example. Do you think that's something we should expect to continue?
You know, I don't know. I mean, for anybody that's gone in to buy an iPad, this should be should have been relatively obvious. It doesn't sync with all of the older operating systems, so I think it's driving a lot of upgrade sales from the iPad users themselves that need to go and buy new Macs to get the new operating systems. Longer term, I think it's too early to tell.
Okay, Tavis, we have time for one more question. Steve Jobs talked about, quote unquote, more amazing products to come later this year. What do you think he's talking about? You know,
we're probably due for another Mac desktop refresh, and then they always refresh the iPod line in September. I don't think there's anything, in terms of new product categories like an iPad type products that are coming, but just more refreshes of their existing product lines.
All right, Tavis, thanks very much for joining us. Tavis McCourt, Managing Director at Morgan Keegan, one of the most accurate analysts when it comes to Apple stock.